Dear colleagues, good afternoon. Now we're launching a very interesting discussion. Hopefully, you'll find it very enriching since we already have some positive feedback. And I would like to touch upon that because this is very important. We live now in the very negative agenda. We have a negative, like, information background, which is coming from your TV, from your internet, and from all the public official statements, you name it. It looks like the situation is bad and is going to get worse. But let us find some positive, some bright sides, some silver linings in what is happening today, because I believe that now, we do have a chance for the industry. However bad things may be looking at the present, let's look into the future. C-Trip delivered a great presentation. They were saying that the domestic Chinese market has been restored by 80%. Let's look at the Russian market. Now about 50 to 60% of the market, it's a forecast. It's an official forecast by TKP, and this is what the experts of the market are saying. Although if you look at the market in its totality, minus 66%, I mean 34% of the against the last year, against the global transportation. Although in Russia, in China, things are looking pretty good. It means that there are countries where the situation is much, much worse on the level of only 20 or 15%. It's horrible, but it looks like we are given a chance in terms of our domestic market and those capabilities which we possess today. So let us begin. Let us begin with this very, very interesting presentation from those who know everything. And of course, Yandex knows it all, because we are going to Yandex search and we are asking Yandex, looking for something on the internet, including the air transportation, we mostly go to Yandex. So let's begin with a great presentation, which has been prepared by Valery Ponomarev. He's the key accounts manager for the tourism in Yandex. Dear colleagues, over to you. Valery, you're on, are you? Hi, my name is Valery. Once again, hi everyone. Hopefully you can hear me good. I would like to begin by continuing this positive tone of the conference, and I want to express my gratitude to Elena Radikova, who is the lead analyst in the travel industry at Yandex. She was able to calculate the statistics about the inquiries for September, and it's very cool. And also thanks to Marina Yegorova. She's in charge of marketing in the travel industries in the Yandex company. So put up the first slide, please. Okay. Before the pandemic, we've done some poll between those people who have been traveling in 2019 to find out what was impacting them the most when they were making decision about buying. It looked like in the most cases, users have been looking or have been buying their air tickets in the search engines. So today I would like to share with you about the statistics of the search inquiries with the Yandex.ru. Next slide, please. In the tourism industry, in September, 58 million inquiries we have received, which is a lot. Against the last year, we have a decrease of only minus 14% year on year. The biggest drop was in the tours category, 41%. And in the smallest drop was the airline tickets and the hotels, only minus 6 and minus 8% against the last year, respectively. So if we measure domestic destinations, we can see even the growth of the plus 24% in September of 2020 year on year. And the biggest number of inquiries for the tourism still applies to hotel sector. It's a 41% of all the searches on Yandex. Of course, the international destinations have not recovered yet, as it has been mentioned before, but I would like to touch upon an interesting fact of how the users' interest was fluctuating after there was a news about the restorations of the airline services. On July 23rd, or was it 24th of July, that this announcement has been made. If you compare the average day searches, we can see threefold increase in July about the tours into Turkey. Speaking about the airfares, the growth would be a little less, plus 156%, 1.5 times higher. Next slide, please. What's interesting, we have noticed that back in September, people were looking to fly in September, in the same month. It tells us that we can see the shift of the depth of the booking. Users began to book their trips and to buy their tickets like closer to the date of departure. I also want to say that there is a growth against the August related to the trips in October and for the new year. Yes, looking at the bookings for the new year, we have only half as much. At the same time, we have a big growth, and it's even 3 or 4 times more than the same time of 2019. If we compare the increments or increase in August and September of 2019, now we can see the more searches in the September and August of 2020. I'm sorry, we have the poor connection. Just a second. Hopefully, we will be able to recover. On the next slide. Yes, these are the searches for the trips in the autumn and in the winter time. Thank you. We're back on. In September, against the August, again, we can see the growth of inquiries, growth of searches about the trips to be taken in the autumn, plus 34%, and there are more searches for the wintertime travel, plus 95%. It's great, it's wonderful, it's a good trend, and we hope that the trend is here to stay. Although lately we see more COVID-19 cases. It's on the rise, and yes, the number of inquiries for the airline tickets is dropping. But at the same time, I would say that the data is very different from the data which was provided by him. Probably we'll have to go into detail just to study this data insights a little bit deeper to understand like why there is such a data discrepancy between Yandex and between him. Next slide, please. In the mid-September, we've done some survey, which was attended by 2,000 respondents. We asked 2,000 people, are you planning to travel, to take a trip, let's say in the autumn or in the winter time? It turned out that 18% or even, said yes, 26% haven't decided yet. But I think that some percentage out of these 26% will also make up their mind and decide to travel, let's say, for the new year. And 56% of our respondents said, no, I'm not planning to travel in the autumn or in the winter. But I think it was also impacted by these fears of the second wave of coronavirus. But still it is not it's not a barrier. People would travel unless we have some tougher lockdown and quarantine. Next slide, please. In September, we can see the increased interest for the alpine skiing, plus 18% against the last year. It's a good trend. It is a good trend. Usually, the peak for the alpine skiing is January. At the same time, people begin actively looking and searching for the alpine skiing destinations in September, and we can see that against the last year, we have the plus 18%. It's a very good trend. Next slide, please. As it has already been mentioned by our colleagues from thetrip.com and by others, now users really need additional information about the rules of the entries to different countries and the whole safety information. If you do not have information on your website about that, please post it. Because yes, we can see a lot of inquiries about what's going on with the COVID situation in a particular destination or in a particular country. Like, what does it take to enter to this country? What will happen after I've come back? Should there be a lockdown or the quarantine or not? Here on the graph, you can see quite interesting trend. We can see in July or beginning with July. We believe, of course, we do not have 100% understanding, but we believe that this spike can be explained that with some lifting, when restrictions were lifted, users began to go around, go shopping, go to cafes, and be happy about that. And they decided, let's take a trip, let's say to Turkey. So people begin to ask more about what are the rules of entry to Turkey and many other countries. And in August and in September, we have seen a positive trend that people still need fresh information about the whole sanitary rules and lockdown and you name it. As my colleagues have already mentioned, in this year, Russian tourism agency, it's a governmental agency, issued the cashback support program for the travel industry, and it turned out that this is really, really successful, even though it has been the first time and the terms and conditions were not very clear. But we can see that after the Russian tourism agency has made a public announcement about this kind of support, about this cashback strategy, there was some spike in inquiries. We believe that with the second wave of the pandemic, the Russian tourism agency will just specify its rules, will make them a little bit more clear. So it is very important for you, dear accounts, to provide the newest information about how can you get a cashback or your clients, and you can also use this information for your promotion. To make sure that you're providing this kind of cashback services to your clients. And next slide, please. Sure. Summing up what I said before, the next events about how the Russians will be vacation will depend on the pandemic. Now it's difficult to say where people will go, let's say around the new year, but so far, based on the September data, we can see the following. There is a good trend for the new year travel. People are looking very proactively. We can see more searches for alpine skiing resorts, plus 18% against the last year. We can see that the users are very proactively in searching for the rules to enter, to exit, to a particular destination coming back. 355K searches in June and in September. And we can also see a good trend on the cashback program by the Russian tourism agency. And just to remind you, there'll be a second, let's say, wave or a second campaign of this cashback. It looks like it's a very positive thing. And I would like to... I'm sorry, we have a slight technical difficulties and hoping that things will get back online.
Unfortunately, Valery's voice is lost. Okay, dear colleagues, I'm back because I had some problems. I apologize. I was disconnected. That's superb. Thank you very much. So, dear colleagues, we wanted to run a small contest with you. You were probably paying a lot of attention to my presentation. Now you should be able to answer one simple question. Next slide, please. How many traveling inquiries we were in September 2020? Please write into our chat. How many millions of inquiries on traveling we had in September 2020? And the first response will get a Yandex station as the prize. Also, we will give prizes for the second and third prize. It will be our branded ball. And the colleagues will also get in touch with the winner and the other, those who actually were correct in answering. And we'll get information where to send the prizes. Thank you very much for your attention. And I would like to ask you a question, Valery, because this time we start with you. Did you assess for you this delayed demand you mentioned? Because the amount of such inquiries is good. It is also proves that our travelers are really willing to go somewhere. But if the situation changes to more, what the market can expand, can we also compare it with the last year? Do you have any estimations? I know that Yandex doesn't really like to make any forecast. You usually show what the market is now, but nevertheless. Valery, did you hear the question? Unfortunately, I didn't hear the question because the connection was too poor at the end. I just heard something from you. Okay, we need actually better communication channels. Did Yandex estimate and assess the delayed demand in values, in figures? Because I know that you don't really deal with the forecast. Usually you look at what we have here at this moment of time. What can we expect from the travel market in the nearest time? Because you look at the conversion, you understand how the conversion works. What can we expect? It's a good question, but you were absolutely right, because Yandex doesn't make any forecast when we don't have enough facts, and this situation depends on the pandemic really very much. I'm honestly cannot tell you any forecast you can actually bring over to the audience. Yes, we have some forecasts, but unfortunately the situation is not really stable. It's very difficult to tell you something really exact. So my last question for you, this is how the users are behaving today, because the decision which is made right here and now with a very small depth of sales, where was I right hearing in your presentation we should also take into account in our sales? Alexander, I apologize once again. Unfortunately, there was a problem and I didn't hear you. And everything about the user behavior pattern, we are talking the fact that the users usually take really fast decisions. That's why usually the sales depth is really small. Most the people buy here and now, and there are inquiries where people are interested in something, but it is not actually any guide to action. We can see it out of the inquiries of our users. People don't really search for any flights in the future. Probably it is due to the fact that actually airlines do not really provide refundable tickets, or even the tours are non-refundable. And the people actually don't really think that the pandemic situation may change and the people are really afraid to buy something in advance. That's the trend we are currently seeing. Thank you, Valery. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for your answers. I just wanted to add one more thing. I apologize. I think if the market player can add more information to the users, and talking about the information about how the tickets can be refunded, and that the people won't lose anything when returning the tickets. Unfortunately, the connection is lost and translation cannot be provided. We apologize for the inconvenience. Valery, you are lost. Okay, but anyway, thank you very much.